You know, some days I wake up and I think to myself, am I worthy of having an RC channel and giving my opinions and experience? And then other days I receive a model and I think to myself, hell yes, you are worthy. And this is one of those days. Hello and welcome back to my RC channel. I'm Andy RC and today I'm going to be taking a look at the Flycolor Everwing Beast. Now, Flycolor are on the back foot with me straight away because I reviewed their Cyclone and it had some great component choices. However, it had the Flycolor guts in there, the 12 amp ESCs, and it would not take a 3-cell battery. I think there have been 2 cases of fires and mine just would not boot up with a 3-cell battery. So that was an expensive model, and this one is as well. So let's take a look at it. Now, this is probably one of the first models that has been released as a 6S RTF or bind and fly, however you want to look at it. So there haven't been a lot of changes in the RC hobby lately. However, the move from 4 to 6S has been one of them, and it's mostly racers that are doing it, and they aren't doing it for speed. They are doing it so that they can be more efficient when it comes to racing around a track. You see, some races, they have a rule that you have to get as many laps in as possible around a racetrack, and you've got 2 minutes to do it. And what happens with a 4-cell battery is as you're getting to the end of that 2 minutes, your battery starts to really sag and you have to come off the throttle, which means you can't get as many laps in. Otherwise, your copter will just fall out of the sky. So what a 6S does is it increases the voltage, but we get the same amount of power out of these lower kV motors, and because V equals IR, it means that there is less current draw and therefore we get less voltage sag and more efficiency, and that is why we are now seeing a lot of low kV motors. These are a Flycolor branded motor. They have a 2.3 size stator and the height is a 0.6, so quite a wide stator, but the kV is 1800 kV, and kV is basically RPM. So if you take the prop off and apply 1 volt to this, it will do 1800 RPM, and that's revs per minute. So if you go up in the volts, you get more RPM. So the idea with this is when you apply a 6S voltage, you get the same amount of RPM as you would on a 4S if you were running, say, I don't know, 2300 kV up to 2700 kV. So the props, they are the Gem Fan. They are a 5042, pretty nice prop. You get a spare set of those. The ESCs are Flycolor branded, just like the Cyclone. However, I think these are going to be okay if this is correct, because you can see it says a 3 to 6S battery and 50 amp. They're also 32-bit, so they will support D-Shock 1200. This was set up for 600, however, so I had to go and change that. The flight controller is an Omnibus F4SD, so the Cyclone had Flycolor's own F3 flight controller in there, and the problem with that is it was using multi-wheel on-screen display. This is flashed with Betaflight version 3.20, and it's got Betaflight on-screen display, so that's a good thing. The VTX is a switching VTX. Now they say it switches between 0 milliwatt, so pit mode, and 600 milliwatt. I could only get it going up to 400 milliwatt in the settings there, and you're not given it any instructions whatsoever with this, which I think for the price is just not on. So I went online and I found the name of this VTX. I'll overlay it here, and you can go and search for the channel chart and the frequency chart, and also how to change the power. It does have 2 buttons here, so we have got the back one to change the frequency, so you know, short and long presses, and then you have got some LEDs up here, and then the front one there, it changes between the power, and again we've got some LEDs there for the power, but you have to go and check out the VTX website so you know what the power is and what the channel is. Now, it's using a MMCX connector, which I like, and that is coming up to a RPSMA connector up the top here. It's actually using a rubber grommet to keep it in place. And I think there's a bit of liquid electrical tape there as well, because I could not remove this. Then we've got a right-hand polarized cloverleaf antenna. And the entire weight of this thing is 344 grams, so it's not really a lightweight model, but running a 6S battery, it's not going to be light anyways. Now you're probably wondering, for this premium price, does this guy have smart audio? And the listing says it does have smart audio, or tramp, you know. They do the same thing, so I always call it smart audio. And I went into Betaflight, and on the ports tab it only had UART6 selected for the receiver. So this is the XM Plus version, and it already had these cable ties and heat shrink over the back there. That's something that I like. But yes, it did not have smart audio set up in Betaflight. So I went through the two free ports, which are the UART3 and the UART1, and I put tramp and I also put smart audio on both of them. Didn't work. And so I looked at the schematic of this VTX, and it does support smart audio, and the wire is connected to something, but guess what? It was connected to the S-Bus and not the smart audio, and I also think I know why they've done that. So the first time I saw this was the B-Fight, and I didn't realize that these VTXs that have S-Bus marked on them, you can actually link them up to the UART and it works as smart audio, so you can probably do that with the B-Fight, but that was one of the first models to have that. And with this one, it was connected to the S-Bus, so it had mode set up actually in Betaflight, and the AUX2, if you put your modes on the AUX2, it would change the channel of your VTX, which is very dangerous because you might take off in angle mode, flick into acro, and it also change your VTX channel. And so what I did was I took all of this apart and I resoldered the wire to the TX3, and when I put it all back together, it didn't work. Smart audio didn't work. So I tried the other spare UART, didn't work again. So I went into the CLI, and this has Betaflight version 3.20, and if you remember back, the tramp protocol stopped working, and that's what's happened with this. I think they've installed Betaflight. I think the idea was to get smart audio working. They couldn't figure out why, so they've hooked it up to the S-Bus instead. All you have to do is upgrade it to the latest version of Betaflight, and smart audio, tramp audio, whatever you want to call it, works. So if you picked one of these up, I'd be interested to see if yours was wired up to the S-Bus, and if it is, I will show you a screenshot and you'll see which is the TX1 and the TX3. Those are UART1 and UART3, and you can resolder it and set up tramp. But for this premium price, you should not be having to do that. Now, this is a very early model, if not one of the first, so maybe they will change that. But for me, at this price, that really sucks. The camera is a 16:9 CMOS camera. Again, the listing says a CCD camera. I don't know why they do that all the time with these 5 inches. But yeah, I know I'm not going to be a fan of this camera. I've seen it before, so I'll be swapping that out. And at this price, you should not be having to do that. At the back, we do have an LED board, which is programmed. So when you do upgrade Betaflight, you want to make sure you copy those settings. We have got a buzzer that is connected to the VBAT, so you can set up your voltage alarm and also a loss model alarm. We have got a XT60 connector at the back. You are given these straps, which are really nice. They're the grippy kind, and we have got this foam battery mat here. It's not silicone, but it's foam, so it's better than nothing, I suppose. And you're given a spare one of those battery straps as well. You are given a spare set of props, but that's all that you get. You don't get given anything else. The props you have to put on, so you're given the nuts. They are directional. It comes in this box here. No instructions whatsoever. I think that's a big downside for the price. So they're saying the recommended battery is a 1300 milliamp 6S, and when looking at equivalencies, I think it's a 1200 milliamp 6S battery is the equivalent in watt hours to a 1500 milliamp 4S battery. The problem with 6S is the batteries are much more expensive. I'm going to be using this Tattoo R-Line 1300 milliamp 6S, and it cost £45 just for one battery. That is double the price of the 4S. So lastly, let's talk about the frame. Now, the frame is really nice. We have this nicely finished metal here, and it swoops in to match the top plate. It's a really nice design. We've got some camera protection up the front there as well. I guess the only downside is the arms are 3mm carbon, but it doesn't feel weak whatsoever, and there are some nice touches. So we've got some heat shrink around the arms there, and the ESCs are sitting on these pads there to lower the vibrations. So yeah, I really like the frame with this one. Okay, let's line of sight this dude. So yeah, this is actually a Turnigy Graphene 6S. I picked them up when they were like 12 quid or something like that. I got really lucky. But yeah, this battery is a little bit too heavy. I think the equivalent 6S for like a 1300 4S would be maybe 1000 milliamp, maybe even less. So let's check out the punch. Well, surprisingly, it's got a huge amount of punch, more than I expected with this big battery on there. You know, I'd say it was quick compared to a very quick 4S model. And that is just a tiny blip. Right, that's it. 6S is the future, 4S is dead. Yeah. I mean, I can't even give it 100% throttle for too long because it just disappears. Like half-second throttle. Ooh, this is interesting. Okay. I'm gonna go into acro. So, just the stock tune on this. It's okay line of sight. I think I am hearing some slight oscillation. Yeah, so a model like the Dark Max, that was just going for sheer speed. I think around about, is it about 2,500 kV, something like that. But speed isn't the problem. You can only go round a racetrack so quick. And more speed means that it's going to take longer to slow down with a copter. These aren't tires, it's the air we're talking about. There are no brakes. And that is why the speed of the copter isn't so important for racing. For endurance though, that's what's important for a lot of these races. But you know, it's flying all right. So now I'm gonna have to get used to 6S voltages in my on-screen display because I don't like average cell voltage. I think the average cell voltage, it just dies so quick. That's why I like the full battery voltage. But anyways, it certainly flies, and it certainly got the speed and the power equivalent to a 4S model with a high kV motor. I would say yes, absolutely. Definitely needs a tune though. Alright. That's enough fooling around. Let's flick it back into angle. I'd just like to check that there's no drift. Hard to tell because it's gloomy and windy today. It seems okay to me. Alrighty, let there be FPV. The sun's come out. Yeah, I'm not a fan of these cameras, really. It's noisy, it's upsetting. animals. Right, now because the sun's out, I've had to set my speed trap at a different angle. Yeah, it doesn't feel Emax Hawk 5 fast, but it definitely feels fast. It's a bit in the rain as well, man. I cannot get away from the rain. Let's this time pay attention to the amp draw. So yeah, it's got a current meter, this guy. About 80 amp was that. The current meter was not turned on. So you have to do a full setup with this thing. And for the price, I think the setup should be done. So the magic number we're looking for landing is 21 volt, I think. But yeah, it's all right, you know. And this VTX, it's connected directly to the VBAT. And you'd think with more voltage you'd get a bit more noise. That's usually the case. Not the case with this one. I actually tested the power output. None of the power outputs did 25 milliwatt. I think 25 milliwatt was something like 400 milliwatt. So yeah, be careful of that if you're buying this thing to do races, because that's the idea, isn't it, of this guy. And if you turn up to a race and blasting out 400 milliwatt, they ain't gonna be too pleased. Oh man, the wind's blowing the other direction today. There's a little bit of dirt on the lens. These cheap cameras, that happens. They don't use, you know, dust-proof environments and dirt gets in there. You can unscrew this one though, so that's good at least. But yeah, I mean, for me, it's just okay. And the fact that all of that business with the smart audio connected up wrong, for this price, I'd expect that to be all set up and ready, but it wasn't. Yeah, taking a little bit longer to get to the other end of the field than the Hawk 5. That's how I can tell it's not as fast. The Hawk 5, 106, 107 mile per hour. This one, I don't think it's doing that. I'm gonna guess 80s. Like I say, it's not all about speed. It's about that voltage sag. And you know, I think it's achieved its objective there. Yeah, flying all right. I have reduced the PIDs a little bit, so I'll overlay those for you. It's maybe a starting point. There's no GoPro on here though. It's so funny just looking at the voltage. Yeah, I mean, look at the flight time. We're going to get a longer flight time with this guy, and that's what it's about really. So similar to 4S performance, but you've got the endurance there. So yeah, personally I'd switch out the camera, and if you're racing with this, probably the VTX as well. It's a 16:9 camera. I mean, it's okay, nothing special. Yeah, flight time 4.5 minutes. That's gonna keep on going, I reckon. Maybe 5 minutes, so yeah, that's what it's all about. See, I'm not much of a racer though. I like to do acro, and I think because of the price of the batteries, unless that comes down, I think the majority of people are just going to stick with 4S. I mean, them £45 tattoo batteries, ridiculous. Is that like $60–70, maybe more? Yeah, price of that's going to have to come down. Anyways, yeah, we're over 5 minutes there now. I know I've not been giving it death, I think it can go for longer, but I think 21 volts is 3.5 volt per cell. So I think I'm gonna leave it there. And yeah, oh, please donate to Patreon, you know. When you start saying bad things about products, it's more difficult to get products sent to you. So if you could donate to Patreon, then it'd help me buy this stuff, because I want to keep giving this advice. But anyway, there's my battery. Oh, I've let it go too low, so I'll just land it there. And as always, thanks so much for watching. Please continue to subscribe. Cheers.